Welcome to the Ugly Truth Sideshow, where we are talking about...
I don't know why I felt like doing that.
I don't know.
Like somebody doing a sideshow.
Yeah. Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
Yeah.
Play us off.
Like
Yeah.
someone with the cane that's going wah, 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 across the stage.
Well, isn't that kind of reality TV and it's in a nutshell
Yes.
anyway? So anyway.
Although not alone, that show is quite serious. I know.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're going to talk about the finale of Alone. They dropped a double episode on us.
They shocked me.
And I'm like...
In fact, I didn't even know until you told me.
I know. Well, you know,
I was like,
somebody...
there's 2 shows?
Somebody in the comments of the Alone subreddit said, I don't understand. No one won. What happened? And they're like...
You idiot.
There's an episode 12. And they're like, what? So they had to go back again and watch the second one, which they aired immediately following. Like, you didn't have to wait or anything.
Well, I DVR them because
Yes.
I work on Fridays and I
Right.
would not have the wherewithal to watch.
Okay, so normally I wait as well. I wait and I'll watch it Friday night or whatever.
But you said...
But I've been struggling with insomnia for the last week. And so I was laying there. I had probably had a grand total of 4 hours total in the last 3 days. And I was still on the binge of not sleeping. So I was completely delirious. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch it. So I stayed until 2 in the morning and I watched the Alone finales.
Did you watch it downstairs or did you watch it in your bed?
Okay, so this has nothing to do with reality TV, but Daryl cannot sleep if I'm not in bed. So he
Can
enjoys
you sleep while you're watching TV?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Jerry can too. I cannot.
It's so strange because it's like I'll have insomnia and I get up and he goes, "Is this something I did?" And I'm like, "No, I can't sleep." I go, "Let me have my insomnia by myself, please." You know?
I know.
Anyway, so I'm watching Alone and he's trying to watch it with me. So season 11, we see Dub finally just fall apart because he was so sure that he had won. And he's like, that was a big mistake. I should not have.
Because he thought he was going home.
He thought he was going home. He thought he was going to see his mom.
And then he couldn't. He's like, we're still here.
I mean, honestly, the waiting game was torturous.
Well, they had to have known at that point. I think they got to 87 days?
They got to 84. I think William won on 84 days.
Okay. So they had to have known in those few days before that they were like, no one is going to last much longer because I'm on the fucking verge.
Well, I think I had mentioned that I felt like William was the most mentally positive.
And he kept catching food.
All the time, even though he was feeding the forest. Sassy is full. And all the jay birds.
Hey, Timber gave that big old hunk of fish. Like,
do you really think he? Do you think?
I don't know. I thought that too. I was like, maybe he. Yeah, right.
I mean, he was starting to lose it. I'm sorry. I think he was.
Well, the trial by fire. That made me laugh.
Was hilarious.
I love that.
No, I love that. No, I meant when he put that last chunk of fish out for the starving children of the world. I'm like, what are you doing? Feels like something I would have done when I was 10.
I know. And I was thinking that too. I was like, I'm over here watching. I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. It's going to cost you the show. You're starving.
The thing is that he never showed anybody eating it. So I'm kind of hoping he took it and went, that was dumb. I got to eat this.
Yeah, right. And anyway, they just thought, well, it was funny. So we'll leave it. We'll leave it. But
I did lament that William, 2 episodes ago, I'm like, this man is mentally positive. He's not struggling. And I wonder if it's because he has Sassy, who will not leave this man alone. He had someone to talk at the whole time.
I think he was alone. So laser focused on winning the money. Like he knew, he even said, like he's like the day that he won, he was like, he woke up, he's like, it's like he slept good. He was positive.
Cozy.
He's like, all right, guess he's like, time to work, like time to get up. Like, let's just do it again. Like he was not right. Yeah. Like there was no like, nope, this sucks. I can't make it. No. He was like, I'm doing this.
So from what I understand, I haven't heard, because they do a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't listen to it.
Shockingly, I've not listened to one of them.
I thought you were gonna.
You know what? I'm going to. I haven't yet. Anyway, so apparently he said, or somebody had mentioned that he is a longshore fisherman. So he's gone for months at a time.
Right.
So he's accustomed to not seeing his family for months at a time. So I think just the getting used to that part is what took out Dub and Timber.
Right.
Whereas William's like, this is just part of my life.
Yeah, I'm used to this.
I've figured out how to do it.
Yeah.
I have the photo of my family I look at every morning, and then I go and I work. And I just think that plus the people from Labrador apparently are next level when it comes to living in this kind of climate.
Oh.
And his wife is an Indigenous woman. And
she? She didn't look so, but.
Yes, she is. And she and her mother.
She was cute.
She's beautiful. She and her mother taught him how to do certain things out
he
in
was
the
not?
wilderness.
Oh, because okay.
Well, no, I mean they've been married for a long time,
Yeah.
but I mean he learned a ton of indigenous skills from them. So like his house was something they taught him.
It was so tiny.
But that's all you need.
Timber had the best house.
Right. But he even questioned whether he spent himself too much early on.
He didn't.
I think he's fine. He said he had enough food to till 100 days.
Look, I'm not going to, he said, me and whoever's out here, we are not going to tap because we are forced out. We're not going to be hungry.
Nope.
We're not going to be cold.
It's a mental game.
He's like, it's all a mental game.
And I have to tell you, it was the best season of Alone since season 6 for me personally.
I agree. Was season 6 the millionaire episode?
No, season 6 was Jordan Jonas, who was like William. He was just out there living his life, but that's because he lived in Siberia where he met his wife, and he was like, "This is fine. I can do this."
These people who they find are just. Like,
I am so impressed.
Another level.
I'm so freaking impressed.
Well, I'm really glad that they finally started choosing contestants who their survival skills is not the issue. Right? Because it was like, then it was so obvious in the beginning. It's like, this person is not equipped to be here.
It's so
true. And like the hand model. And
what was really interesting too is that they all thought Jake was going to be in the top 3.
I can't remember him now.
Oh no, he's the guy that kept falling and hurting himself and he forgot everything.
Is this the guy that lost his quill?
He lost his freaking fishing. He's a fly fisherman and he lost his fly fishing shit.
Right. And he could never find him again.
Never found it again on day 1.
Right.
Where he fell and he's like, well, I laid down on a rock and now I bruised my tailbone. And I'm like, oh, Jake, and he's the one. I'm like, honestly, I think this man relies on a woman.
Oh, to do all the guy, things. The one you hated. Yeah.
I don't hate him. Well, he's very skilled, but he just wasn't. I don't think he was equipped for this type of contest.
Well, I mean, this is not, like I said, it's not just about survival skills.
It's not.
And so
it's mental.
It's definitely mental.
And I think the mental got him early.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But everybody really thought he was going to be the guy to beat. Funny how things turn out with these shows.
He hurt himself right away.
All the times. He burned his hand.
Is he the one that ended up like shooting his thigh?
No, that was Chubby.
Oh, okay.
Or Cubby.
It wasn't
not Chubby. Cubby. Yeah, it was like a days in and he pierced his thigh with an arrow. Oh my God.
I was like, how do you do this? I mean, these people are, anyway.
I just think you get comfortable in your environment and then you go out and do this and it's all new to you, which I would expect it to be difficult for anybody. And your flaws come up immediately. And I do think it's all mental. I think those mistakes are mental game. That's
for sure. And the places where they've practiced their skills
in their backyard
are familiar to them. Yeah, exactly. They know where they are. They feel comfortable there. This is like plopping you down in somewhere you've never been before.
I know.
And even though you think you've done it all, you haven't.
Do you cry when the winners?
I did cry.
I always do.
I didn't like bawl.
I didn't either.
But
I just get a little weepy.
I got weepy. First of all, they're really good at hiding
that woman had to traverse down a mountain. I'm like, why did they put her so far away? She's like on a foothill.
They didn't really. They wanted to surprise him, and I mean, these people have like
she's like a little yeti.
They hear hairs going through the snow.
They do. They've gotten very attuned to sound.
Yeah, they would see her coming and
a million like so quickly. Jonas in season 6, he heard his wife coming like from 10 feet away. He's all whipped around. She's all, oh hi, you won. He's like, what? And she's like, he could have stayed out here until the spring. Like he wouldn't have even thought about it.
It always shocks me that the first thing they say, the spouse or whomever, is like, you won, like you did it, know, which is great. But for me, it would be like, oh my God, I'd be so happy to see you. Like,
I just think maybe they're instructed.
I don't know.
Just tell them they won, and you're like, you won, and or more like, I'm coming to get you because something very terrible happened at home.
Could be. Well, that was Timber. He just started making excuses. Like the day before when he didn't tap, I'm like, okay, he's never gonna make it past 24 hours.
No, and he didn't.
He was so close to tapping.
I don't have any. Some people were really judgy about him and Dub tapping because they're like, oh, well, they just have to convince themselves that this is the right thing to do. And I'm like, because it is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
For them. And the thing is that he started
There's no shame.
And I was telling Daryl this actually. I said, it's really interesting about the men specifically who get past like 60 days on this show is any baggage they had, anything that threw them into this lifestyle, because normal people normal people do not do this.
That's why there's all these reality shows about people who live off the grid because they're all weird.
There's a reason why they do that. It's trauma or something, experiences that force them or thrust them into this line of work or whatever. By 60 days, if they make it 60 days, they have come to peace with whatever baggage they had, whatever trauma they had. And they're like, you know what? I need to be with my family. I don't need the money. Yeah. We're going to be great. I need to tell my wife how much I love her, and I need to give my kids a good life. Like, that's literally what Timber said.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like, good for him. Maybe he'll get past. I mean, he had a arduous childhood.
He really did.
Scary. And he lost, I don't know, he didn't lose anyone. That was somebody else. But I mean, it was him and his brother were traumatized, and they were afraid all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, good for him.
I liked how at the end they did the day one and then the day that they tapped. Mm-hmm. I was like, holy shit. I wouldn't have even recognized them. Because I didn't remember what they looked like anymore. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because it's been so long.
The only thing I ever think about when I watch this show, because, you know, there was a time when humans lived like this.
I do too, Jamie.
I know. I mean, we've read about it
all the time.
I think about when I watch it, I'm like, this is how people lived. And everybody's like, God, they've lost so much weight. I go, honestly, I think this is why people were so small.
Yeah.
Because they just weren't eating. They were only eating super lean.
They were eating whatever nature had. They were eating mac and cheese. And
I think they call it protein starvation or something like that, where you only eat protein, so there's no fat or anything. So you're eating, but you're in ketosis basically all the time.
The keto diet? Yeah. Basically, they don't eat any carbs and
nothing. And so they're so tiny. Like when you see clothing in a museum from, this is a man from 1875. This is a suit he would wear. I'm like, my 12-year-old child couldn't even fit in that.
Look at King Tut.
There's a reason. They just did not have the food or, you know, the hormones and all that stuff. But I mean, just in general, food was not as plentiful back then, and so people were very
processed,
small.
and we didn't have all that salt and sugar that's baked and cooked into everything.
And so I look at that and I go, is it really bad that they're that size, or is it just?
Well, I think
I don't know.
I think it's an adjustment on the body. You know, obviously, you know, your genetics are different. Everything's different now because of the way we've eaten. But
it's what's in our food.
And I think that's the other mental part of the show is like, in those days, when you live that way, you didn't know any other way. This is just life. When you're plopped down and you're like, okay, I know people. By wolves. Yeah, and I know people used to live like this, but in the back of your mind, you're like, but I don't have to, and I'm forcing myself to be here, and so there's always going to be that little. You can go home.
I loved what Dub said, because he was very honest about how he has really bad ADHD. He goes, if I get bored, I'm quitting. And then he said, you know, it's really hard when you have that sugar-coated button. And you could just hit it.
Yeah, he did have a really great analogy.
That would be me. He's so smart.
He was smart.
And he's so attractive.
Yeah.
Like, he's got those super blue eyes.
I thought Timber was attractive too. He
was attractive. I mean, he's not my type, but
but he's totally my type.
He's not ugly. I didn't think. I thought he was a handsome
None of them were ugly.
No.
The only thing about William is you couldn't understand a freaking thing he was saying.
That would be the Labradorians. And apparently they all sound like that, because there's been a lot of talk about, like, are they Irish? They're like, don't you dare
I thought he was Irish.
And they're like, if you're from Labrador and someone asks if you're
Irish. Where's Labrador? Is it Canada? I knew it.
They're like, they'll be very offended if you say they're Irish. And I'm like, interesting, because, you know,
well, who? Okay.
Whatever. I mean, I just thought it was hilarious. And I love that he had subtitles.
Oh my God. I know. I thought at some point I'd figure it out. But
he was so good. I
not understand
his snare, his snare to snatch grouse out of trees.
I know, it was pretty brilliant.
Like, did he invent that, or did his wife teach him that? How? People are like, are grouse really that stupid? They're like, they are very much stupid. Yes.
Well, they're not stupid. They're not smart enough to realize that that's a wire that's trying to catch them.
You can literally walk by and pick one up and break its neck.
Exactly.
Like, literally, they're just not.
They're probably just like chickens.
I think they're like wildebeest. No, chickens are smart and they're mean. But I think that grouse, first of all, if they don't know they don't seem to have that built-in predator runaway thing.
Well, that's true.
Kind of like wildebeest.
But a lot of those
so many of them.
You know, I mean, a lot of the things were shockingly, because they aren't used to having a human being out there. So they're like, I don't even know what that is.
So I don't remember the name of Sassy, the little baby mink looking.
Oh,
creature.
It was
a minute. I don't know.
Minute? No.
It's God, something like that. Anyway, Pine. Yes.
Yeah, we're on.
You and I know what we're talking about. Anyway, so apparently they're the quote unquote mink that people farm and they use for mink coats.
No.
Right? And William is one of those. He does that sometimes. So
did he have the hat? Remember, one of them had made a fur hat, and it was under their regular hat.
Oh, no, that was Dub. He made that out of the squirrel and rabbit he killed.
Okay.
No.
Well, they're not the first ones that have done that on the show.
Oh, God, no. Not at all. But yeah, apparently that they are, the reason you can't kill them is because they're used for commercial, use.
Yeah.
And so on those lands, they're protected out there because they're wild and whatever. Anyway,
they were the cutest things.
Sassy was the perfect name for it.
I know.
And apparently when he got home, they got a dog and he named it Sassy.
Aww.
I am so pleased that William won. And I really hope that Dub and Timber have success after this, because it was one of, if not the best season of Alone ever.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
In the past, I have lost interest or struggled to watch the episodes.
Agreed.
Like, some of them, I think it was last season.
Oh yeah,
we did the show. It was so fucking slow.
It was really hard to watch.
I struggled. Yeah,
yes, I agree.
So this year, I mean, I really couldn't wait. Every single time the show was on, I was like, "Oh yay!" I'm like, "New episode, woohoo!"
It's great.
I'm like, this when we were watching the last 2 episodes. I could not. I'm like, is someone going to fucking tap or what?
It was hard on all of us.
I'm like, good God, these people.
Hard.
I mean,
they're so resolute.
I was like, is anyone ever going? I was like, how long is this going to go? I knew what the season finale was, but I honestly, when I was watching the day count, it was like when it started, it was like 60 something.
I know already.
So it took a long time.
I know. So apparently, I don't know. I don't honestly.
I mean, 20 days is forever.
Stephanie, I couldn't do it.
They were up there for almost 90 days.
3 months.
3 whole fucking months.
And they were eating unseasoned things.
They were so happy for it.
When I watched William eating liver straight out of that grouse, I was like, okay.
It reminds me of sushi, but...
He would not be attracted to someone like me.
No. None of these people would.
No. They'd be like... Thanks for being a fan.
They probably like their women without deodorant.
Stephanie, you think they play with their underarm hair?
I don't.
Shut up! Stop it! That's mean.
They go to bed with like the bottom of their feet are black and they don't care.
Oh no, in their hay beds. Stop it, Mom, Pa. No, stop it.
Jerry was walking by me the other day and he sat on the couch. He'd been busy all day, granted, because whenever I'm home, he stays busy. God forbid. And so he'd sat on the couch and put his feet up and he was on his phone. And I'm like, look at the bottom of your socks. I'm like, they are black. And he's like, oh. And he's like, well, it's from walking around on this floor, insinuating that we have a dirty floor. Now, I have just mopped everything. And so I'm like, look at the bottom of my socks.
Clean
They're white.
as a whistle.
Like bleach white. I'm like, and I've been walking around on the same floor all day. I'm like, no, you go out into the fucking garage and the front yard and everything else in your fucking socks. I'm like,
you know what I want? Oh my God. I would do this, Stephanie. I know you don't believe me, but I would do this. If they did an Alone where they hooked you up with like a Timber or a William and then they brought someone like me.
Like the Bear Grylls show?
Kind of, but
like he takes people like regular people,
but they keep them protected, and they have camera crews and shit.
They do,
just cameras, and William and me.
You both end up divorced.
No, not married.
No, I'm not talking about married.
No.
Put somebody on a planet or an island for 3 months with a dude where you're completely dependent on him taking care of you.
No, but he would force me to do stuff. That's the whole point.
No,
I would learn skills. How dare you, sir? No, but that would be. Listen, you take someone who has no skills.
What about and
then.
That would actually be a really good show.
I mean, okay, fine. I'll go with Wanaya. Whoever. Yeah. I'll go with a woman. Or Cassie or whoever.
They would, you know what? You guys would live out there forever.
Dude, I would love it so much.
2 women out there, especially if one was a survivalist. That's all you need.
I just need her to teach me how to eat raw food. And I can forage. That's easy.
Well, you would do all the I mean,
I couldn't bow an arrow because I don't know how.
They would show you,
but they could teach me while we're out there. Oh my God,
there's nothing we can't do, Jamie.
I would watch that show.
Yeah,
I would watch that show. I'd be like, my heart. They'd be like, so what do you think the biggest challenge will be? I'm like, well, I think the biggest challenge will be staying hydrated. And being without my Botox for 3 months and perhaps not having my hair colored. I think that would be very difficult. By the time they come out, they're like, oh, are you with the singer of Berlin?
It's a look now, though. It really is.
It's true. No more words.
God, have you seen Kate Hudson remaking that song?
No, but I don't want to hear anything more about her singing.
Hush, hush. Right? I was getting into full blown like comment wars over it the other day because I had the audacity to be like, she's average.
Yeah, she can hold a tune.
I'm not saying she can't sing. Many people can.
But for a record deal and to go on tour, I mean, that means I can too, right?
Thank you. And so there's these people, there's these people in the world.
She's so gifted.
Oh my God. What is wrong with them? I'm like, she's just a person,
She's
people.
a normie, guys.
She's just like you and me. You know, I'm like, you've just seen her on screen on movies that you love. I'm like, she's just a normal person. And they're like, you're one of those women who just likes to bash other women's, you know, and I'm like, I'm so not. And by the way, Kate Hudson has never suffered a day in her life.
Accurate.
I'm like, so don't tell me about bashing a woman's success. Like, she's out there. I'm like, she's bored. She's tired of acting. She's like, I'll try the singing thing.
Yeah, I have a son with a singer. I can do it. Well, anyway, with all of that being said, it was a phenomenal season.
Really good.
And
I'm sad it's over.
How are they going to top it?
I think I will listen to the podcast.
I will too. I really want to hear
their side of the story. Like,
I just want to hear some of the perspective that
now that they're back and they're normal again.
I'm kind of curious what happened to Sarah. There's been no word. There's been nary a word on her. And I know she left and she had some kidney issues, which is what made her leave. Well, she was fine. Amazing.
I don't know why I'm cynical about this, but whenever they're like, am I doing long-term damage to my body? And I'm like, no, you're not.
I think they say that because they probably warn them. They're just like, hey,
frostbite is legit.
If you're feeling anything that's not normal for you, don't act like you're going to shake it off because you're in arduous environments that could do things, and you become susceptible to predators if you're weakened.
Oh, that's true.
And so you have to be really careful. And
they're not very far away from them. I mean, they're not. I think they say they're there in less than an hour.
Yeah,
from
that's
the time
still. Can you imagine if you cut your hand and you're like, help?
Well, if it was an emergency, they'd probably be there quicker. I think it takes them
helicopter, and I think if it's
because if it's up to an hour, that means they have to get all their cameras and they have to get the crew. You know, everybody's got to be ready.
It's a show after all.
Yeah, because they're always there. You know, marching out with all their cameras.
Okay, so the Golden Bachelorette begins, I think, this month.
Okay, yes.
And it's Joan. Are we also surprised? No. And honestly, I cannot remember who won The Bachelor. The girl, I can't remember her name.
Oh, Jen?
No. Jen didn't. No, she won.
The Bachelorette. Oh, what are you talking about?
The one that ended up with the guy.
Joey
and...
oh shit, I can't remember her name, but they're still on the media trail.
Yeah. Well,
they're still together.
Her dad is on the show. Her dad is one of the bachelors.
Because his wife died. Her mom died of cancer.
Yes.
And that was one of her.
Right. So he is on the show, and they were seen at Disneyland having a date this last
while they were
spring.
filming?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be very interesting to see. I'm going to watch it.
That'll be a bit much.
I'll be watching it passively. Well,
I'll watch it.
It's so scripted. Who cares?
I mean, especially with the old people. No, it's true.
With the oldies.
Well, I mean, they're just not they're not as smooth, you know what I mean? They'll have to well,
we'll see. Yeah. I'm very curious though how it's all going to turn out. Anyway, all right everyone. Well, thank you very much, and we will be back with another Sideshow later. Bye.